This lesson will cover how to pick up a drop stitch. It'll also cover if you've made an error and actually purled a stitch where you should have knitted. We'll cover how to go back and fix that. And then we'll also change a purl stitch into a knit stitch. Now you can see here I've already got my stitch has been dropped, and this might happen if you're just not paying attention and it accidentally slips off your left hand needle or your right hand needle while you're knitting, and it just zooms right on through there. Or it could happen if you put your knitting down into your chair and your child or your pet, drags it off and does a little dance on it. And if you only have one drop stitch, if that happens, consider yourself lucky. What you're going to need to do this is you're going to need a crochet hook. The one I have here is a size E. You can see that. You could also use a D, but I wouldn't really recommend anything smaller than a D or an E. Or larger, than a D or an E. So what you'll do here is you'll insert the hook from the front to the back into that stitch. And you could grab it from the top. You could grab this next bar from the top and it would work perfectly fine. But if you did that, you'd have to pull it through, and then you'd have to take it out of the loop again. You'd have to drop it again and then insert it from the front. So instead of doing that, we're going to put our hook into our stitch. We're going to grab that bar from the bottom and we're going to pull it through. And then it's turned the right way, and all we've got to do is just grab that next bar from the bottom and pull it through, and it's all fixed. So we place the stitch back on the needle, remembering the lesson, comes over the needle from the front and goes to the back. So that means we need to put that back on the stitch that way so that the yarn is traveling to the back, and then it'll come back over. So the next is I have an errant purl here. Just going along there and just accidentally purled that stitch for no reason at all. So we'll knit across there and get to that stitch. And it should be fairly easy to determine which stitch you need to work across to. You just work over to the stitch that's right in line with the stitch that you're working on. It goes right up in a line. So we'll drop this stitch off on purpose. We'll take our hook and we'll pick these and pluck them out till we get down to that purl stitch. And do the same thing that we did before. We'll put that in the back. Sorry. Insert your hook from the front. Go underneath that next bar and pull it through. You can leave it on your hook. Underneath the bar, pull it through. Underneath the bar, pull it through. Place that stitch back on the needle. Strand going over the front to the back, and now we no longer have a purl stitch. And we could do the same thing. Now that we have all knit stitches, we'll go down and we'll turn one of these into a purl stitch. So drop that off the hook, drop it back a few stitches. Now this time we'll need to come from the back to turn this to a purl. Come from the back, grab that bar. This might be a little bit more difficult. Grab that bar, whoop, pull it through. There you go. And the rest of them is going to be knit, so we'll drop that off of our hook, and we'll move all these bars to the back and bring that loop to the front. Insert it from the front, grab under the bar, pull it through the stitch. Keep going just like we've been going. Place it back on the needle. And now we've turned a knit stitch into a purl. So we've dropped a stitch, we've repaired it, we've turned a purl stitch into a knit stitch, and a knit stitch into a purl stitch. And it all uses the same basic mechanics.